Hey, shalom, shalom. Call Allah, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, Bahashem, Rakakadash. Double honor to the elder apostles of Great Millstone. Salutations to the whole full light. Excuse me. Alright, this is going to be a quick lesson, Lord willing, it's edifying and straight to the point. And what sparked this lesson is I'm watching this brother here. I don't really know the brother's name. This is the first time I'm seeing this brother. And I'm watching this lesson about, getting yourself ready as a man, basically girding up your loins, getting your family and your house in order, because we're gonna go through a time of great famine, in these latter days. And as I'm listening to the lesson, right, he says something that regarding like Jacob Trouble, how the woman is gonna be chasing you once they see that you right with the Lord, basically. And that remind me of Isaiah 4:1, where scriptures say 7 women shall take hold of one man, right? And they shall say, we'll eat our own apparel. We'll make Salakia. We'll make our own. We'll cook for ourselves and make our own apparel. Only let us be called by thy name, right? Because what's going to be desired in those days of great peril is a man who has a relationship with Yahweh Shema Shah, who's right in the spirit, right? With Yahweh Shema Shah, not somebody who holds vanity, right? Because right now, right, shit hasn't fully hit the fan yet. These women are desiring men who has money, status, and substance. But see, the real substance that these women are going to desire in these latter days are going to be a man who has a relationship with Yahweh Shema Shah, who carrying the spirit of Yahweh Shema Shah on him, right? So I want to we're not going to watch the whole thing, but I would just want to get to the point that sparked this lesson here from this TikTok video, or rather this TikTok lesson. The brother page is Prayer and Mercy 1125. Definitely. I followed it right now. Follow and be edified, man, because that was very edifying. The short lesson he did. Right. Let me see if I go back.
The woman going to chase after you if she and the Lord's relationship is together. It's be chasing after woman. You supposed to be. So if Yahweh Shai not dealing with you, if you're not chasing after Yahweh Shai, not supposed to be chasing after woman. You supposed to be chasing after the Lord. You supposed to be making sure you and the Lord's relationship is together, is right. Alright? That's supposed to be your best friend. Yahweh Shai is your first love. So be chasing after your first love. Don't be chasing after the woman. The woman going to chase after you if she sees that you actually chasing after the spirit. If you actually know the Lord. If the Lord is actually dealing with you, because we come into these last days, Yahweh Shai is Yahweh Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai is about to show who he's really dealing with, what men he's dealing with, and what men he's not dealing with. So you want to be one of those men that's part of the elect that Yahweh Shai is dealing with in these last days, man. So get to know your first love, and that is the Lord.
Right. The Lord. So when that's beautifully said, the brother said a beautiful point. You want to get to know your first love, which is the Lord, right? Particularly our Lord Yahweh Shah, right? That's our first love, man. You know what I'm saying? Don't chase the woman, chase Yahweh Shah, because see, in those latter days, when shit fully hits the fan and Jacob Trouble, these women are gonna be chasing the man who has the spirit of the Lord on him, right? Who's right with his power. Okay, they're gonna want a man like that, right? Which is going to be which is you elect brothers out there, right? You sincere brothers, okay? Because in that day we're gonna have the pick of the litter, so to speak. Meaning we're gonna be able to choose the variety and different types of women, right? Because women are not gonna discriminate based on the carnal things in that day. They're gonna want a man for the peace that comes with the spirit of Yahweh Shema Shah, right? They're gonna want a man who's following after Yahweh Shah, because ultimately they're seeking deliverance from the tribulations and troubles that they're in, bro. They want a hedge of protection, which is the hedge of protection. You know what I'm saying? Because in that day they're gonna understand that not having a man is basically not having a hedge of protection. Let's go into Isaiah 32 and verse 1. I get it in the NLT and in the KJV. Let me read it in the KJV first. Um, the point is in verse 2. Nah, I'm gonna read verse 2. We'll get straight to the point. Isaiah 32 and 2. It says, "And a man shall be a hiding place from the wind." Right? Going back into Revelation where it talks about the four winds, the four corners of destruction. Right? So the hiding place from the wind is talking about this, talking about the great destruction to come. Right? So the man is gonna be a hedge of protection for the woman, okay, against the troubles that's to come, against Jacob trouble, right? Against the tribulations that what we're about to enter. Okay, a man is going to be a hedge of protection. It says, "And a man shall be a hiding place." So, Lakia, I made a mistake with the four winds, but that's talking about something else. That's talking about the nuclear destruction. But the wind in this verse in Isaiah 32 is talking about the tribulations, right, that we're going to enter into. So that's something totally different from the book of Revelation, where it talks about the four winds of destruction. That's something totally different. I'm making that correction here. Salakia, I got a little ahead of myself. So I'll read it again, Isaiah 32 and 2. "And a man shall be a hiding place from the wind, and a convert from the tempest." Right? So that's talking about the tribulations and trials, because, like I said earlier, these women are going to be catching hell, right, when all hell breaks loose, like the brother mentioned in his short lesson, famine, right, when the great famine is coming, right, also water shortages, right, elders been doing lessons about water shortages that's hitting America, right, it's going to be food shortages, it's going to be also a power outage, okay, it's going to be civil war, civil unrest. So all these things are going to be happening in Jacob trouble, and it's these things that's happening that I mentioned that's gonna that these women are gonna be seeking a hedge of protection, because they don't want to they're gonna need that protection in order to survive, man, because like it tells you in Isaiah the 13th chapter that women are gonna be ravished in that day. You know what I'm saying? All right. These women are in the word ravish go back into S-aid, right? I'm using code words so they don't take the video down. But yeah, S-aid, you know what I'm saying? So that's the time that we are coming into, Women that don't have a hedge of protection are gonna be S-aid, gonna be eaten, gonna be pimped out, gonna be killed. Okay? So these women, when shit hits the fan and they're going through great famine, water shortages, powder outages, and there's great violence in the streets, right? They're gonna realize, oh shit, it's gonna snap them back to reality, and they're gonna realize, hey, I need a man, right, for my protection. I need a protector, right? I need a provider, because right now, because of the social media and the attention that women are getting, right, and the feminism, like the poison that Esau is pushing on, right? That feminism nonsense. And our women ate it up. Women especially, ate it up. That feminism stuff, rather feminism poison, right? That they don't need a man, that they are equal to the man. Rather feminism, right? Let's get into feminism, because feminism is believing that that they independent, they don't need a man, that actually that they superior to a man. It says, a feminist is anyone who advocates for political, economic, social, and legal equality of the sexes and genders. So this is the proper terminology of a feminist. Is basically a woman who believes, or someone, right, not only advocates for to be the same as the man, but particularly a woman who is a woman who believes she's equal to the man. You know what I'm saying? So with that being said, when Jacob trouble comes, it's gonna humble these women, and they're gonna get out of this feminist mindset. Okay, they're gonna get out of this feminist mindset of equality, thinking that they can be a man, or thinking that they're equal to the man. Okay, that's going to be thrown away with, all right, because of all the hell that they're catching, right? Isaiah 13, and I believe I get verse. Let me see. Let me see. I'll start at verse 15. It says, "Everyone that is found shall be thrust through, and everyone that is joined unto them shall fall by the sword," man. So that's talking about the nuclear missiles, right? Anyone with hit with a nuclear missile will not escape. Okay, them is talking about the ICBM nuclear missiles, right? As it tells you in Second Thessalonians 5:3, that like a woman travaileth with child, sudden destruction shall come upon them, and they shall not escape. And that's the key point I want to bring out of the verse. They shall not escape. So anyone that hit with those missiles will not escape. There's no escaping the ICBM nuclear missiles, right? The only salvation for the elect, rather, is to get beamed up on the chariots that the world calls UFOs. Otherwise, you would have to be one of the elites and have like a secret underground bunker that can survive the nuclear destruction that's coming. Otherwise, you know the average everyday person is not gonna make it. You know, they showed you in that movie Paradise, right? When that great when that disaster came in the TV show Paradise, that disaster came, and it basically it knocked off a lot of people, right? There was still some survivors, but the scientists looked at this this phenomenon as like it was gonna basically, wipe out, not wipe out, but do for lack of better words, it was going to reduce the numbers in America significantly, right? I don't remember if it was worldwide. It was a while ago since I seen the TV show, but once the top American scientists figured out that this anomaly would have a high death toll, right? They took the politicians took their families, and other officials took their families and these underground cities to live in to survive that catastrophe which was coming, right, to America. So I'm using that reference to say that when the missiles hit, right, when the missiles hit America, it won't be any survivors. The only ones that's gonna make it are the elect that's getting beamed up in the chariots. Okay, those are the only ones that's gonna make it. So anyone that hit with a missile will not escape. All right. The only ones that's gonna escape is the elect, because they're gonna get beamed up in the chariots. All right, and the elites for the purpose of being enslaved by Lord Yahweh Shai, because they're gonna be the first fruits into slavery, right? So their bunkers and underground cities is reinforced in a way to protect themselves from the intense heat and destruction from the ICBM missiles, right? So unless you are of the elites or of the elect, you're not gonna make it, right? And this is where the fear comes in, because we don't know, as the ones that we call ourselves the hopeful elect, we don't know if we are of the elect, right? We believe. That's why we call the prisoners of hope. In the book of Zechariah, the 9th chapter, prisoners of hope. So continuing on, it says in verse 16, it says, "Their children also shall be dashed to pieces before their eyes. Their houses shall be spoiled and their wives ravished." So verse 15 is also a double meaning, because that verse 15 ties in the second Esdras, the 15th chapter, where it tell you where it tell you that when that neighbor shall rise against neighbor, right? People shall rise against people, because that's what's going to happen. Anybody, because they're going to be hitting these people, these average everyday people. They're going to be going in house to house. And they showed you that movie Homestead, right? That they're gonna actually be turning, and in the movie Leaving the World Behind, that your neighbors and your friends are actually gonna turn against you. You know what I'm saying? For the lack of resources, they're gonna turn against you, right? And they're gonna try to take what you have to survive. That is what the scriptures talk about. That's what's coming. Let's go into second Esdras. Survival. People gonna really be in survival mode, man. They're gonna be desperate. right? What did Denzel Washington character Eli said it in the book of Eli. He said, in the world before, roughly paraphrasing, in the world before, we had more than we needed. You know what I'm saying? We was wasteful. We threw away things that we kill each other for now, and that's how it's gonna be when Jacob Trouble pops off. The very water, half a bottle of water that people throw out, regular soap and shit. You know, just this miscellaneous things that they feel they don't need, just being wasteful. These, and stores do it. Like stores, they throw away tons of food and fresh fruits and fresh vegetables and fresh water, right in the back of their dumpsters behind their stores. You know what I'm saying? And they being wasteful and all these things. In the time to come, these people are gonna be killing each other for, man. Stop. People are gonna be fighting each other and literally deleting each other for a cup of noodles, man. That's how bad it's gonna get in America. That's how bad it's really gonna get. The point I'm gonna read, 2nd Esdras 15 and 15. Yeah, 2nd Esdras 15 and 15. It says, "For the sword and their destruction draweth nigh." That's talking about nuclear destruction, right? It's close. So going back into what it says in Romans 13:11, right? This is high time to break out of sleep, for our salvation nearer than we believe, right? So Yahweh Shah coming. So as Yahweh Shah is ever drawing closer to the return of our Lord Yahweh Shah, we're also drawing closer to the nuclear destruction too, because he's gonna make his appearance when nuclear destruction happens. You see what I'm saying? To deliver the elect. So as we're drawing closer to the nuclear destruction, Salakia, as we're drawing closer to Yahweh Shah return, we're also drawing closer to the nuclear destruction. Continuing on, it says, "And one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands." Right? So these people gonna be armed up, gunned up, ready for battle. Okay? It's not gonna be like a war. They're gonna be scavenging, going house to house, door to door, right? Just coming in people's homes, right? As we read in Isaiah, the 13th chapter, they're gonna be ravishing the women, right? They showed you in that movie, The Purge 2, right? Because it's a series, but in The Purge 2, the neighbor of the lady's neighbor, right? When the purge happened, he literally he bought a tool to break into her home. And he was gonna rape him and her and her daughter right then and there. He was gonna ravish them, man. If he didn't die in that scene, he would have ravished them both. Because he was thinking about ravishing them, but never got the opportunity, right? So when the purge happened, he found his opportunity, and that's how it's gonna be in Jacob Trouble. It's gonna be a lot of serial killers out here. It's a lot of demons out here. Just wicked, evil people that is waiting for an opportunity like Jacob Trouble, waiting for the opportunity to let loose. And the Lord is going to allow these people to let loose, man, because it's going to be the laws are not going to be enforced in that day. So serial killers and murderers and rapists and all type of violent criminals are going to run rampant, man. They're going to be given free reign to do what they want to do. You know what I'm saying? Because in that day, the police and the law enforcement, they're gonna be worrying about their families. They're gonna be trying to protect their families from these crazy people. You know what I'm saying? From these wicked ass people. They're gonna be trying to protect their families. You know what I'm saying? They're not gonna be on the streets patrolling and doing their duties as a police officer. As they doing now. They're gonna be at home, strapped up, protecting their families with their home security system. You know what I mean? So it says, "For the sword and their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands." Right. So these guns, the swords represent weapons, right? What is the modern day weapon? The gun. So people gonna be strapped up, got bullets, chambered up, ready to go. Going house to house, scavenging for resources, food, water, baby supplies, baby milk, all of that. You know what I'm saying? The scriptures tell you in the 2nd Esdras, the 6th chapter, that the storehouse is gonna be empty. You know what I'm saying? Letting you know there's going to be a famine, but also they're going to be ransacked. They show you that in the Apocalypse movie. Every time there's a zombie movie, where do people go? They ransack they ransack the stores, the malls, the damn supermarkets. Ransack. They showed you the movie World War Z, right? Brad Pitt character, when the zombie apocalypse hit New York, what did he do? right? He went to Jersey, and the zombie apocalypse, the zombie virus was in Jersey too. And what did he do? He went to the supermarket. He grabbed medicine for his kids, man. And you seen the police officer. It was a powerful scene. You seen the police officer. He grabbed whatever medicine, whatever other supplies he needed, man. He wasn't worried about enforcing the law. He was worried about survival, man. Everybody in that day is gonna be in survival mode, man. Okay, so we're coming in some very dangerous and serious times. All right, verse 16. For there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their power shall stand. Salakia, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power. Meaning they're not gonna care what these world leaders have to say. They're not gonna care what these celebrities have to say. These influential people have to say. The mayor, the congressman, even the president. You know what I'm saying? The vice president. Right, the prime minister, it's not gonna matter. Their word is not gonna hold no weight. It's not gonna mean nothing, right? These people, when shit hits the fan, when there's water shortages, food shortages, right? When water and food shortages happen and the power goes out, right? That's gonna create chaos, right? Or when shit hits the fan, right? These people are gonna be ransacking supermarkets and stores to get what they need to survive, man. They showed you in the pandemic. We call it the pandemic, right? Because it was all planned by the elites as a test run to see how people will react in a crisis. If a crisis were to happen, how these people were going to react, right? And what happened during the pandemic, right? People was buying up toilet paper 6 years ago, right? If you understand what happened 6 years ago, you know what I mean by I say pandemic. People was buying up toilet paper, bro. Everywhere you go, even online, toilet paper was sold out. Amazon, toilet paper sold out, right? People try to go into Walmart, toilet paper sold out. You try to go online to get toilet paper sold out. And stores and vendors, what they do is they're overcharged for the toilet paper and other utensils because they know it was hard to find. See what I'm saying? So when demand was high, and the resources were low, they drove up the price, and that's what these stores did. They drove up the price, especially on hand sanitizer. Back then, you couldn't find a damn bottle of hand sanitizer. That was like trying to look for gold, man. That shit was hard. It was rare to find hand sanitizer, alcohol, Lysol. Forget about it. Soon as Lysol hit the shelf, they was gone. They had to hide. Stores had to hide the Lysol and the hand sanitizer so they can get some so that the staff can get some for themselves. That's how much people was buying that. You know what I'm saying? You get what I'm trying to say? That's how much. That's how bad things got during the pandemic. It's gonna happen again. These people, it's gonna be not just toilet paper, but it's gonna be other things: medicine, prescriptions, right? Food, water. People might try to ransack a damn gun shop. They might be stupid enough to try to break into a gun shop. You know what I'm saying? There's still bullets and guns. You know what I mean? We coming in these times, man. They show you in the movies. That's why it's called Revelation of the Method, because these elites know what's coming, but they can't. But under their right, they tell you through their movies and television, so that they don't get hit with the karma. This is what they believe, right? So they don't get hit with the karma, right? But we know the karma is just judgment from the Lord. They're gonna receive their judgment, right? But the Lord set it up that way, put it in the minds of these wicked people to do that, so that the wise can understand, so that it could be used as so that the Lord can expose them, right? And expose their agenda and what they're doing. Salakia, predictive programming. The water. Yeah, let me show you that quick clip. Also, verse 17, it says, a man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able, right? So that's talking about blockades, right? City lockdowns. You know what I'm saying? So people gonna have curfews, right? Because and that's telling you that in verse 17 is gonna be martial law. in the cities of America. It's gonna be martial law. So you're not so under martial law, right? The government is basically taking on the role of law enforcement, right? And they're enforcing law and order. Okay, the military, and they're gonna have curfews where just like it was during the pandemic, you couldn't be out at a certain time unless you was an essential worker. And if you and cops will stop you if you was outside during the pandemic. If you was outside like 1, 2 in the morning, cops can stop you and ask, "Oh, all right, what are you doing out here?" You know what I'm saying? Where you going? And they can arrest you. You know what I mean? Because basically that was only essential workers, essential personnel could be out at late hours. So it's going to be the same thing for the average day for the civilian, right? They're not going to be out how it is now. You can stay out all times of night. Especially Jake in the hood, you can stay out all types of night. Jake be staying out all types of night, especially in the summertime. It's hot now. 5 in the morning, 6 in the morning, 7 in the morning, drinking, partying, sleeping around. You ain't gonna be able to do that. It's gonna be a curfew, and in that time, right? If you're not following the curfew, you're gonna get your head popped off. You know what I'm saying? And then the thing is too, when we read it I'm gonna go back to it. Isaiah the 13th chapter, right, where it talks about the woman being ravished. Those soldiers are gonna be doing that too, right? You seen that an example from the ICE agents, right? It was ICE agents that was abusing their power and were ravishing women, man. Ravishing Northern Kingdom women. I don't believe it's just Northern Kingdom. I know it was Northern Kingdom, but it was other women as well. Women of the other tribes and nations, you know what I'm saying? But basically it was ravishing women, you know? And women would be open and willing to that because they believe if they slept with this soldier, she can get favors from him. They showed you in the show on Fear the Walking Dead, right? One of the main characters, the female, she was sleeping with one of the soldiers that was that had the town on lockdown. She was going out with the soldiers so that she could get favors out of him. You know what I'm saying? Medicine for her mother. So she was willing to, be his girlfriend and give up her body so she could get that medicine for her mother that was sick. You see? All right. Let me Isaiah 13. Woman ravished. Right. Let me see. Woman yeah. Verse 16. Isaiah 13:16. Their children also shall be dashed to pieces before their eyes. Their houses shall be spoiled and their wives ravished, man. So these people are gonna see they children's being, deleted in front of their eyes, violently assaulted in front of their eyes, done all manners of harm in front of their eyes, man. Right? And ravished, their wives ravished. Imagine you watching this. Imagine men holding you down. It's a group of men, and the men are holding you down while the leader is just ravishing. You know what I'm saying? Your wife. Like, these are the times that we coming in. It showed you in the movies, man. We in some serious times. The only power that can get us through this is Yahweh Shem Yahushua. This is not to fear, but this to be informed. Like, this time, the calm before the storm that we're in, so to speak, right? This grace period that the Lord is blessing us with, take it seriously and use that time to get prepared, get ready mentally and spiritually. Make sure, like the brother said earlier when I opened up with, make sure that your relationship with Yahweh Shem Yahushua is solid, man. Because only Yahweh Shem Yahushua is going to get you through this time. Because if you're not a man of the Lord, if Yahweh Shem Yahushua is not dealing with you, you're cooked. You're cooked. You know what I'm saying? You're going to be a victim to whatever violence and evil that's going to be out here, in that day. You're cooked. Without the Lord, you're cooked. Right? So yeah, these are the evils that's coming in Jacob's trouble. Serious stuff. We'll go World War Z. Yep. World War Z. Supermarket scene. Here we go. This is the supermarket scene in the movie World War Z, right? Came out
What gods of earth is the delay here? fallen tree, I believe, sir.
Oh, yep. Fair use, fair use, fair use. I want to say that here. Fair use, the Fair Use Act. Fair use, copyright. So, let me see it here. The fair use disclaimer. It says copyright disclaimer under the Title 17 USC Section 107. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Non-profit, educational, or personal use tips. The balance is favor of fair use. And the Lord created fair use so that we can use these movies and TV shows to bring out the truth, you know what I'm saying, for edification, right? So that we can teach, okay? So the clip that you're about to see is under Title 17 USC Section 107. It's for fair use. This is for educational purposes only. I make no profit off of this. This is for educational purposes only. I repeat, this is for educational purposes only, right? So let's get into the clip. I have to say that because when you bring out clips, as you brothers and sisters know, when you bring out clips from YouTube or whatever YouTube, right, and you put it on TikTok, they might give it a copyright infringement. So you gotta say that so that, you know, the video don't get shut down. Then before we finish this scene, you already seen it. People got they shopping cart. They in the supermarket, right? They just scrambling trying to get to their car, get their food supplies, whatever, and they out. They not, you know what I'm saying? That's the time that we coming in. You know, it's mass panic. People just trying to get whatever they can to survive. You know, they in survival mode. They in panic mode, right? You know, this is what's gonna be happening. And Jacob Trouble, people gonna be trying to.
I'll get us something to eat. I'll meet you back here.
Food and supplies and medicine that they can. Look, Shell is ransacked, man.
Stay close.
What do you need?
Albuterol.
They outgrow the asthma, supposedly. And this shit too is magic for my kid.
Thank you.
Honey? Honey?
Where's mommy?
So they're trying to rape her, you see? And they're being ravished. I told, and the word, when we read into Isaiah 13 and 16, the word wife means going into woman. So the scripture said the wife's gonna be ravished, man. That's dealing with the woman. You see in the scene right here, they was trying to ravish this man woman. They were trying to ravish Brad Pitt characters, you know, woman in the scene. You see what I'm saying? See, the scriptures don't lie, brothers. Scriptures do not lie, like the Elder Apostle Kubal says. You know, scriptures don't lie, man. It's all right there in your face, you know. Like the Elder Apostle Kubal say, you know, the scriptures don't lie, brothers. It don't, and it truly don't. All right there. You know, but you know, the elect is gonna see it, right? Like it says in Romans 11, 6 and 7, you know, particularly the 7th verse, you know, the elect have attained it and the rest were blinded regarding this truth. You know, only the elect is gonna be able to see what's really going on, right? The 2/3 you know, they're not gonna really understand what's going on. You know, even if they understand what's to come, they're not gonna understand, you know, how this all fits in prophecy and how this gonna end. You know, they don't have the full picture. You see, but for the most part, our people are asleep. You know. Hold on, let me do not disturb. See what the police officer was doing? I think the most powerful part of the scene was the police officer. They raised their hands up, Brad Pitt, and it raised his hands up like, oh shit, you know, we unarmed, respecting the police, the officer's authority. And look, the police ran past him. He completely ignored him, man. So under a crisis, these officers ain't gonna be thinking about protecting the people and doing their job. They're gonna be thinking about themselves and their own family. Like, he literally ran to the shelves and was doing like everybody else, trying to literally just grabbing anything he can off the shelf and putting it in the bag. See what I'm saying? These are the times that's coming, man. All right. So, yeah, these are times are coming. This is why the Lord is having us bring out these epistles and lessons so that you brothers and sisters can be prepared and ready. Right? Real quick, this is Isaiah 4:1. It says, "And in that day 7 women shall take hold of one man." And that one man is not just talking about any man. When you go into Isaiah 4:13, the same chapter, in the 12th verse, it says, Isaiah Salakia 13 in the 12th verse, it says, "And I will make a man more precious than fine gold, even a man in the golden wedge of Ophir." Right? So the Lord is not just going to make any, and not talking about just any man. They're talking about an Israelite man in the truth, right? In that time of Jacob's trouble, he gonna be more precious than fine gold. Why? Because which means he's gonna be more valued. He's gonna be more valued and sought after than fine gold. You see what I'm saying? Precious. Let's look up that word precious. You see why and why he's precious, right? Why are you a believer? And Yahweh Shema Shah is going to be precious in that day because he had one thing that these people don't have. He have the knowledge and wisdom of the scriptures, man. He have the spirit of the Lord with him. He have a relationship with Yahweh Shema Shah. You see? And these women are going to see that, and they're going to be seeking that, right? That hedge of protection that's over the man. They're going to be seeking that hedge of protection for themselves because they're going to realize in that when shit hits the fan, when all hell breaks loose, that they're naked, man. That they don't have a hedge of protection. They have no covering out here, you know. They're gonna realize they need a man. No matter how many guns, how much training they do, that they still need a man. That they're the weaker vessel and they still need a man. Right? Let me see. Precious. It says the outline of biblical usage means to esteem, be prized, be valuable, be precious, to be costly, to be appraised. So in that day, when Jacob trouble hit, it's the man that's going to be the prize. Because right now, right, they say the women are the prize, right? And it's the women that is sought after, right? This is what's being said in society. But in that day, it's the man that's going to be looked at as the prize. Women are going to be seeking after them, you know? The average man that doesn't get any play because he makes less than 7 figures, because these females, they want fucking multi-millionaires and shit, you know what I'm saying, with their unrealistic standards, right? So for the average guy that's not getting no play, they're gonna be the Israelite man in the truth is gonna be sought after, man, because they're gonna realize that the man of the Lord is the prize, because he had the knowledge, wisdom, understanding of the scriptures. That's what makes a high value man. They're gonna see that in that day. They're gonna be like, oh shit, the high value men in Jacob Trouble are the men that have the knowledge of understanding of the Bible. Those that know the names of Yahweh Shema Shah, those are the high value men. Not a nigga with a nice car and make 6-7 figures. That's the high value men on this side. Right now, that's how these women see the high value man. Somebody who, who society esteems, who society elevates and praises, who's very successful in a carnal sense. This is how these women see high value men. But see, in Jacob's Trouble, they're gonna realize the real high value men, which were the high value men the whole time, are the ones that have a relationship with Yahweh Shema Shah. They're the prize. They're precious. They're valuable. Okay. It says that to be precious, to be highly valued. So these women are gonna highly value the men, and then you're gonna be sought after, right? Because of that wisdom, because of Sophia, right? Which the Greek way of saying wisdom. That's gonna keep those men stable, and they're gonna understand that because he have a relationship with Yahweh Shema Shah, he has a spirit, he has a hedge of protection over him, and these women gonna want to be under that hedge of protection. So they're gonna be seeking that man for that particular for that particular purpose, to get under that hedge of protection, right? This is why they're gonna be seeking after a man. So going to Isaiah 4:1, it says, in that day 7 women shall take hold of one man, right? That's the Israelite man, and the number 7 means completion. So it doesn't even mean 7 men as a head count of 7 of like actual like 7 women, but it's talking about any number of women. It could be 7 women, 70 women, 7,000 women. You know what I'm saying? I'm just throwing numbers out there, but the point is 7 means completion. It could be a number of women, right? So it's gonna be multiple women, okay, desiring one man, particularly the man of the Lord. This one man is the man of the Lord. So it says, in that day 7 women shall take hold of one man, saying, we will eat our own bread. So feminism is out the window in Jacob Trouble, because that shit is not gonna matter. Them trying to be equal to the man, that's not gonna matter when all hell breaking loose. Women are gonna, and we seen that mindset now of women accepting polygamy, right? They going on social media, TikTok, they going on TikTok, maybe Instagram, and they making videos about how it makes sense for women to be polygamous, right? And share the man, right? And to have sister wives, right? They considering this, right? In that day, they're gonna be totally on board with it when Jacob Trouble pops off, right? When it fully pops off, they're gonna be on board with it, man. And they're not gonna be stingy, like, oh, you can't touch my man, this, that, and the third, as they is now. With they fragile egos, hell no, they're gonna be willing to get on that man program, because they're gonna realize that he's the prize, not her. That things are in his favor, the men of the Lord favor, not her. So she got to get on his program, or else she's gonna die. You know what I'm saying? She ain't gonna have that hedge of protection. So it says, in that day 7 women shall take hold of one man, saying, we will eat our own bread and wear our own apparel. So these women gonna be actually willing to cook for you, right? Cook. You know what I'm saying? Because on this side, the men have to initiate and have to do things for the woman, you know. But in that day, the woman's gonna initiate. She gonna be willing to cook, right? And it says, and wear our own apparel and bring it, and that means she's gonna be resourceful. She actually gonna bring something to the table. Where Scripture said, wear our own apparel, she gonna bring something to the table. Women always be like, oh, when they ask that question of what you gonna bring to the table, they always say, myself, right? My presence, my beauty, whatever the case, whatever they say, right? It's never actually real resources. So in this day, they actually gonna be willing to bring something to the table, and they're gonna understand that if they don't bring something to the table, they're not gonna get with that man of the Lord. Cause that man of the Lord ain't gonna accept no pretty bum, and that's how a lot of women are. They just pretty bums. You know what I'm saying? Bums as in like they don't offer anything to the table. They don't add any value to a man's life. They don't bring anything to bring peace and ease to his life. You know, they just pretty bums. They just look good, and they want to be spoiled. You know what I'm saying? But in that day, they're gonna understand like, oh shit, I have to bring something to the table. I have to actually be resourceful. You know, I gotta know how to cook and clean, and maybe garden. You know, and sew clothes, or you know what I'm saying, or know how to massage, right? I have to have skills. Because the man of the Lord, like I said, I'm gonna say it again, ain't gonna take no pretty bum, man. So it says we will eat our own bread and wear our own apparel. That's dealing with skills. That's what you sisters out there should be working on. Skills, sewing, right? Knitting, sewing, cooking, cleaning, skills. That's gonna make the man life easier. You know? Gardening. See? These are the things you wanna bring in the table in the time of Jacob trouble, because you being the elect lady, right? Because it's all gonna be sisters that's of the elect, right? The Lord gonna partner you up with a man in the Lord, but you gotta be, you know what I'm saying? You gotta bring something to the table. You gotta help that man. You gotta be his helpmate. So these are the skills you wanna have, you know, gardening and cooking and cleaning and sewing and knitting. You're gonna wanna have these skills, man. Don't be no pretty bum. Because pretty bums gonna be left behind. It said we will eat our own bread and wear our own apparel. Only let us be called by thy name to take away our approach. That's the shame. Because it's gonna be a shame in that day to not have a hedge of protection. Because you're vulnerable to other men who are predators. These men out here it's gonna be super predators in that day, man, and they're gonna have their way with these women. You know what I'm saying? Super predators, man. So it's gonna be, so these women gonna be realize it's bad. They in a bad case scenario, not having a man a hedge of protection, which is that a man, you know, over them, you know, not submitted to a man, being by themselves, and they're not gonna want that. They're gonna realize they need a man for their own survival, because they're the weaker vessel. See. They need the man. They're gonna wake out this fantasy that Esau sold them, and they're gonna realize they need the man. Because right now, because of the laws of feminism, right, that forbidden fruit, going back to Genesis the 3rd chapter in the garden, which is feminism, the laws of the serpent, which is that malicious person. When you go into the meaning of the serpent, it deals with a malicious person, a very cunning and sly person, right? Malicious. And that spirit of the serpent is on Esau Edom. The lies of feminism that he pushed on these women, man. Making them think that they don't need a man. That independent spirit. Like, I don't need a man. I could do it by myself. You know, I could do what a man can do. Rather than I could do what a man can do. That feminist spirit, right? That independent spirit. I don't need a man. You know, men are beneath me. All this nonsense is going to be thrown away in Jacob trouble. Because when all hell breaking loose and women are getting ravished and attacked by these super predators out here, they're going to realize they need a man. They're going to realize that all that feminism and all of that independent, proud spirit that they was in, they're going to get humbled real fast, man. Humbled real fast. So, yeah. You know, so for you sisters out there, get the same way how we have to get ready to meet Yahushua, our bride, right, being his woman, you need to prepare yourself in the spirit, in your mind and your spirit, to be ready to be received by the men of the Lord in that day. Because you will be matched up with those men, man. Because you of the elect lady, you know. Those that sincere, those are sisters that sincere in the faith, right? The Lord gonna match you up with a man of the Lord, but you gotta be ready, man. Don't be no pretty bum. So Lord willing, I hope this was an edifying lesson. We give all honor, praise, and glory to Yahweh, by Hashem, Yahushua, by Shekh Kadash. Double honor to the elder apostles and elder bishop of the great millstone, and citation of the full elect. Till next time, Abba Ball, Shalom.